Good morning, Churan's tiny homestead. Churan, I'm building a tiny homestead. Keep in mind, it's been a very hard road. The reason why this started for me, anyways, was I was pushed into living homeless for close to 6 years because of my job. Um, I was treated very poorly. Anyways, I beat those struggles. I lived in a tiny camper in parking lots in Fort McMurray for almost 6 years, and I couch surfed. Wherever I could stay, I stayed. I was pretty desperate at the time. Finding a property. Well, because my income isn't so good anymore, I had to find something that I could do that was affordable. So I was pushed into off grid living and many, many struggles living homeless, but I was safe, sort of. I let the RCMP know what I was doing, and they kind of checked on me every now and again, keep an eye open for me up in Fort McMurray, which is like really cool about the police up there because they do look out for the residents. And I'm grateful to the RCMP in Fort McMurray. Thank you so much for all of your support. God bless you. I wanted to say that first. God bless you to the House of Hope. That's where I used to go take my showers, have a cup of coffee. I would contribute orange juice, 1 liters of orange juice and stuff when I could afford it. I lived in my camper. They would wash my laundry for me. So I was able to stay clean, which, by the way, every city has that. Homeless people come in all shapes and sizes and all cultures, especially with the economy. Don't think that everybody that's homeless is a drug addict or a criminal because that's not the case. I'm not a drug addict. I'm not a criminal. And I ended up homeless. So, anyways, on my long journey, this is where I ended up. I bought myself a place in Marks Day, Ontario. Now, this building was just an empty shell. I built a loft. Well, I didn't. I hired people right here. This is a loft. I sleep up there. This is office space. And then along here is desk. And then the rest is living room and kitchenette. It's a very tiny space. However, going off grid, you have to have the money cash to buy it because no banks are going to help you. Nobody's going to insure you. You have to have the money. First, you have to find the property. And then to put a dwelling on the property, you're looking at another $100,000 if you're not building it yourself. If you can cut logs and build your own log cabin, all to you. But I'm 60 years old and I can't do something like that. I have to hire people. My biggest expense in this process was labor cost. And I lost a lot of money in labor costs because I got 4 or 5 projects on the go and none of them are done. And now I have an assessor coming tomorrow. Okay, money. This property was for sale for $189,900. However, this this barn, 14 by 40 barn with 3 additions on it, bringing it to 800 square feet, was all that was on the property outside of piles and piles of garbage and brush. The place was filthy. So when the people were asking 189.9, I said, I'll offer them 150 with 80,000 down. That's all they're getting. I'm not going any higher. The place is a disaster. And it was dirty. And nothing was built. This was just an empty shell. There was wiring in here for electrical, but no plumbing, nothing. No bedroom, no bathroom, nothing. So that all had to be built. And I had 6 months to build it, or the city was not going to let me stay living in it. So if I didn't do things the way that the inspectors in the city told me to do, I would have been homeless again and out $100,000. So I put $80,000 down to get it up to living quarters to where the city accepted it and let me live here full time. I had to put another $80,000 into it, cash. The banks would not help me. In the process, I ended up running hydro because going solar power was way above and beyond my price league. I do not have credit cards. I have to pay cash for everything, and nobody would give me any money. And nobody would insure me with solar power only. and the amount of solar panels I would have had to set up to run a whole house was running me $45,000, and then you gotta fiddle with it, fix it, babysit it. I'm 60 years old, so I said no to that. Well, today, finally, I started a process with couple of different banks. Quite a few of them turned me down. So somebody had told me go to the credit union because they help with homesteading, campgrounds, farms, things like that with smaller businesses. So I went to the credit union. Well, you'll never guess what. Today I got confirmation. I checked my emails. An assessor for the bank contacted me yesterday afternoon. They're coming to assess the property on Monday. Now, I have had to put a lot of money into this cash to get the banks to even listen to me, and I had to run hydro, which brought up the value of my place 250,000 from like 100,000 or 80,000 or either way, it wasn't worth what I paid for it. But that's what's going on in the real estate market. You know, $100,000 houses are selling for $350,000, and that's just the way it is. Now, where I got lucky with my property is it's a 2-acre property. So I bought it for the land because it was so much space, and I can always build something bigger later, or my son can build here. So I can split it into 2 properties, but it is agricultural farming. However, I'm allowed to have 2 dwellings with 2 families living on the property, but the other family has to be family, or the other residents have to be family. It can't be strangers. Like, I can't put a duplex or anything, but I can put a shop with a loft apartment or another house, and this will be the granny flat, is what they call it here in Ontario. So the banks came through for me. I checked my emails today. Now, the process has taken over a month long to get to this point, to get the money. So they confirmed that I'm getting the money. They're just doing the assessment tomorrow because they want to see how much money I've put into it, where the build is at. Plus, the money I'm lending is also to put the well in so that I have my own water. The well goes in at the end of August, and it's costing me about $20,000 to $25,000 to do the well. Running the hydro was $21,000. Now, without running hydro and having your own water to begin with, the banks won't touch you because they can't get their money back out of the place if something happens. Nobody wants to buy a property that doesn't have running water or hydro because 90% of the people don't know how to live this way. So that was a big problem. So I had to put all this extra money into the property, like $100,000. I'm sure I put into it if I put the bills together. Um, Plus, I put 110,000 cash so far to the last lender. I owe them like $40,000 on the private loan. So we're going to buy out that loan. I want to get rid of the private lender. I don't want them sticking their nose in my business. I want my privacy. But now with the well going in and the bathhouse sauna that's going to be complete by the winter, and then the rest of this will be completed also, it's going to bring the property up to $350,000 because I cleared the land. We cut down all the dead trees, got rid of all the brush, all the garbage, everything, built the driveway better. The list goes on and how much money I've put into this. And I've had to pick, like, a lot of jobs are not complete, but I got it up to code to live in it. And that's what I had to do in the meantime. Now the rest of the build is going to get done over the next 3 to 4 months or 6 months or whatever. So that's how you got to go about it. If you're going to go with like off-grid living, be prepared to pay everything out of your pocket and do a lot of the work yourself. If you can't do the work yourself, don't put yourself in my situation and if you don't have the money for it, because I'll tell you, the labor cost now per square foot to build a house in Ontario is $300 a foot. That's how they charge to build a house now. Any kind of contractor, whether it's a carpenter, an electrician, someone that puts down cement pads, you know, paves your driveway, does your roofing, does your electrical, anything. Everybody is $300 per square foot. My driller that was here yesterday, he said a couple of years ago it was $100 a square foot. Now it's $300 a square foot to build a house. That's the going asking price for contractors. And when you don't have the money for the contractors, your build is going to take a lot longer because it's coming out of your pocket. So anybody that thinks they want to go off grid or have a homestead like I'm doing, I'm about halfway to 3/4 through building my homestead. I still need fencing. Just to put up a fence is $50,000. I can't do it myself. I can go get the wood and all the supplies and the screws and everything, but I still have to hire that person to put the fencing together. I have gotten many, many estimates with everything. There's even people charging for estimates now. So don't think it's going to be easy and it's going to be cheap, because you're going to sit up with worry every day if you cannot pay for it out of pocket. You have to have a really good job to do this. If you're going to homestead, if you plan to just homestead and not work at all, make sure you have the cash in your pocket, because you're going to run into all kinds of problems. Unless you're an engineer and you're a builder and you're an electrician and you're a plumber and you know how to do all of that stuff. And don't forget, all of that stuff has to pass. It doesn't matter if you're off grid. It doesn't matter if you're in an unorganized township. You still have to pass all the codes. And people that are telling you you don't have to follow codes, they're outright lying to you and they're breaking the laws, because their place can burn down like this if it's not done right. And nobody will insure you if you don't have it set up properly. They want to see the tickets. They want to see that it's been inspected by reputable companies. So don't think you're going to get away with building whatever you want, wherever you want, without getting inspectors, because they're not allowing it anymore. And I mean, if you want to fight that fight, you go fight that fight. I'm following it. So my good news today is I got the bank loan, and this is going to go through over the next couple of weeks, and my well is going in at the end of August, and then the big parts of the build will be paid for and they're done, and that will bring up the value of the property to $350,000 from $150,000 that I paid for. And so that's a lot of work that I've gotten done in the last 2 years. And then the next year, of course, I'm going to finish the rest of the build. And, I'm putting in a above ground swimming pool, which I've bought well, I swim every day because it's exercise for all of my injuries. It gives me some relief. I don't want to go back onto painkillers, so I'm pretty good that way. But, and it cools me down in the summer too, but I'm doing lots of gardening. I still have to bring in tons and tons of soil because it's all clay here. You can't plant anything. It's an agricultural farm, homestead, and I'm going to make it into a food forest and probably build a second dwelling on the other side of the property for my son and his kids, so they have a place to live if they sell their house. Because their house, the property taxes are over $6,000 a year. My property taxes are $800 a year. So I had to go with what was affordable. I don't get to live a high and mighty life, and don't think I have cable TV and all that stuff, because there's not even a TV in this house. I don't own one. So that's my good news. And I got the loan, and the well is going in, buying out the private lender, and the build is a go again. Have a nice day. Churan's Tiny Homestead, Evelyn Churan. Goodbye.